If you're a part of this homosexual act that I'm trying to take part in, you hear me? Yeah, come on. This door will open real quick for you.
Want to know why I'm so passionate about this DIY business?
DIY.
DIYers, I'd like to think that 2024 is going to be the year that things that are in the dark come to light. I like to think of this as the year of truth. Dee-1, who is a very successful independent artist, sat down with the Art of Dialogue, and he spoke about what he was offered in terms of a record deal if he was open to performing certain acts by gatekeepers.
Do you feel like it's gatekeepers in hip-hop?
Gatekeepers in the music industry.
Yeah.
Yeah, depending on what part of the industry you're trying to get access to, there's gatekeepers. So if you're trying to get signed to a major label, there's gatekeepers. If you're trying to get on certain media platforms to get interviewed, there's gatekeepers. If you're trying to get on the mainstream radio, you heard me, urban radio, there's gatekeepers. Yes. I would say one last thing about gatekeepers. The only true gatekeeper to what's meant for you in this world is God and your level of integrity.
Amen.
That's the only two gatekeepers, because what's meant for you and what you want, that's two different things. And a lot of times people end up wanting things that ain't of God. And now if you want something that ain't of God, you got to go through gatekeepers.
Got to do some ungodly things to get things that are not of God. It's an interesting way to put it. Are you surprised to hear this about the gatekeepers? There was one point in time where conversations like this only existed in like the bowels of YouTube, where people were pulling together clips and trying to find lizard eyes and ways that they could connect the dots on certain things. And these conversations are being had a little bit more publicly and more commonly. It's one thing when people on the outside are saying this, but when you got people like Dee-1 who have seen their own levels of success in this, a clip we're going to watch after this from Cat Williams, who doubles down on conversations like this, even if you took 10% of it as truth, what does that tell you?
Well, I'd rather go through God than go through gatekeepers any day. So all these people, all the times that I have encountered these gatekeepers in the industry and I'm knowing I'm overqualified for something, but I got somebody telling me I'm not good enough, or I'm not enough for this, or I'm not paying enough for that, I had to learn through maturity that that wasn't of God. You feel me? And that's what you got to check. Do you have godly ambition or do you have selfish ambition? And in this world, it's very easy to have selfish ambition, and that'll take you on a pathway to where you're going through all these gatekeepers who really ain't nobody in the big scheme of things. On the totem pole of people with integrity and people with morals, values, and principles, these gatekeepers ain't nobody.
Hello.
But in this perverted, sick, twisted industry, these gatekeepers do hold access to certain levels.
I like the point that he's bringing up here. First of all, I'll give him the bomb right here. Sheesh. Dee-1 has been on a tear, and he's been saying a lot of things in a very fearless way. He's standing on business every single time. But a point that he brought up right now is something that I've myself as an artist, I've had these conversations. Initially, when I stopped focusing on music being my number one priority and I got into content creation, took a 9-year hiatus, I'm back now. But initially, one of the things that I had a blockage about or a conflict about was this concept of how everything is so about the self when you're a rapper, when you're an artist, when you want to be successful, everything is so self-serving. Everything is so, you got to promote yourself. You got to make sure that your social media is looking right. You got to make sure that all your music is a proper representation of your experiences and the things that you went through. At least the way that I interpreted, everything felt like it was so me. And it was hard for me to understand how being me could be conveyed to serving the people. And you make some pretty bad decisions when you're thinking about only the self.
Bro, I've had gatekeepers in the music industry hold a record deal behind their back and let me know, like, look, if you're a part of this homosexual act that I'm trying to take part in, you hear me? Yeah, come on, this door will open real quick for you.
Somebody gonna have to tell the truth, and I'm gonna tell it.
I just hear what I thought I heard. Did I just hear what I thought I heard?
Like, I got a song where I've talked about that before called The Devil's Playground. Like, this is real, dog. The only way that type of stuff can work on you is if you let them have all the leverage to where you want what's behind that gate that bad.
Want to know why I'm so passionate about this DIY business? I'm sure everybody has had a different experience on their way and rise to the top. These stories are no longer just theories, but they're backed by allegations. They're backed by people having receipts and revealing that there's some nefarious acts that are going on behind closed doors. And the music industry is not alone in this. Movie industries go through it as well. A lot of my peers who I talk to, when they think that this independent thing is just a thing for the cameras, and they realize, no, he's really independent. He really is doing his business. It's crazy to me how I can read them and see how desperate they are for whatever opportunities present themselves. And according to D-1, it seems like those opportunities are abundant, if that's your get down.
Also got people who, this is a different type of gatekeeper. The gatekeepers who will say, hey, you making too much righteous noise right now. If you just tone that righteousness down a little bit, then we'll allow you into these doors. But you got to tone that down. You got to become a little more vanilla, you heard me? A little more lukewarm, a little more bland, and you'll fit in with us more.
Sheesh.
So that's the slick gatekeeping. It ain't telling you, it ain't telling you to all the way, bend over or open your mouth or something like that. It ain't that, but it's telling you, like, dim your light. And what ends up happening is you got so many people that's like, well, that's not that bad. They not asking me to do nothing super crazy. I just got to dim my light. That's the scariest kind right there.
Can we talk about that?
Somebody gonna have to tell the truth, and I'm gonna tell it.
Since we want to talk about truth, and this is the year of truth, let's talk about this as well. I'm going to somehow compare this to the gatekeepers that exist within the playlisting industry of streaming. The rules that come up that they create about what music should sound like, how short it should be, the kind of instrumentation, the kind of topics that should be spoke about in order for it to be appropriate for playlist. That is micro gatekeeping. Playlisting in itself can be a form of micro gatekeeping, especially when you're telling people you're disqualified because of these particular things. This can make someone who is desperate enough to want to try to be on these platforms to adjust whatever they can musically, personality-wise, to be accepted. Let's get to work. I don't know what it means to act my age, cause I don't know how old I feel some days. I got relatives that hate my profession, get embarrassed when my name is mentioned. I was never supposed to take this serious. It's just a phase, he gon' come to his senses. It's such a shame they didn't see the ambition, but I bet now they see I wasn't pretending. I took my art to a newer dimension.
Cause a lot of people will be like, wait, I just gotta turn it from level 10 to level 5? Man, bet, I could do that, bro. I bet, now I get accepted, cool. Next thing you know, you got a whole industry, brother, that's lukewarm. Whole industry lukewarm. So then when somebody that's on fire come along, they looking at it like, whoa, you crazy, hold on, you shining too bright, hold on. Chill out, man, you doing the most, you messing up. Man, stop, man.
Crazy, man. So I want to backtrack, right? Because, I mean...
The interviewer was taken aback. He was taken aback by that statement. He didn't think about nothing else. All that game he just got, he didn't think about nothing else except for, let's talk about that executive again one more time.
Somebody came up to you personally trying to get you involved into, some homosexual activity.
Me personally, I definitely dealt with that, brother. Like I said, I done rapped about it and everything. I didn't want the deal that bad. You hear me?
So how did they react when you turned it down? Was they acting funny or?
Yeah, well, you got that moment of truth.
I would say that proposing some mandussy for a record deal is already acting funny. The interviewer said, were they acting funny? I think they were acting funny way before his response.
When you realize what's happening, you got that moment of truth where you're like, oh, shoot. Okay, what am I going to do? And that's not the first time in my life where I've had a moment of truth where I knew, like, my action right now can change the course of my entire life, So I knew what time of day it was, and I wasn't getting down with it. So when I was like, nah, like I'm good. This was at a music video shoot. So when I was like, nah, I'm cool. For the rest of the day, it was like, oh, no more attention from this person. You know what I'm saying? All of a sudden, this person ain't really willing to meet with you or talk to you or even like further the idea of talking about working with you. So once you see that you're getting that cold shoulder, or once I seen that I was getting that cold shoulder, I was like, well, I won't be getting signed today. You hear me?
Can you imagine? First of all, shout out to him for telling all of this because he didn't have to. Can you imagine if you were one of the people who actually did go through with it and you still got the cold shoulder, gave up the mandussy and still got the cold shoulder? That might drive you to some really hard drugs. That might drive you to a life of regret. That might drive you completely insane. Can you imagine the stories of the people who cannot even say it out of fear of the ridicule of their peers that they went through with it and they were willing to do anything to get to that level.
You got to keep it moving. But man, it feel good, man. It feel good to be able to speak about that and be able to speak like to say like, oh, I preserved my manhood. Like it feel good. It feel real good. Like that's what you call a life defining moment.
Yeah, that's wild, man. So when you turned them down, was they in their feelings? Like, was they trying to block you from doing stuff? Like, yo, we're not gonna allow him to do this, or you know, we're not gonna put him on this platform. He's not gonna host this. Like, what happened, yo?
You asking me, is blackballing a real thing?
Yeah.
Yes, blackballing is a real thing. Some people in this industry definitely get mad enough at you if you have bruised their ego, or if you have shown them that you don't need their approval to be successful, then they will definitely do what they can to try to blackball you. Yes, well, I don't doubt that people have attempted to blackball me, absolutely. But if you don't feed me, if you don't provide my blessings to me, then you can't starve me. You can't deny my blessings to me. And once I truly doubled down on knowing that like God holds all the keys to whatever's meant for D1, that's when I really started just moving with a level of boldness that's like, yeah, I'm standing on this, you heard me?
Yeah.
And you might try to have a vendetta against me or whatever, but I guarantee I'm gonna exceed anything that you could have did for me. And then I'm gonna look down at you and you're gonna be like, oh, shoot, how you got up there? Because that's the only one I submit to is up there, you heard me?
Let's go ahead and offer one more video, it's a very short video from Cat Williams in the insane Club Shay Shay interview that at this point, it has stupid amount of millions of views. After hearing that and then hearing this, let me know what you think.
Are you related to Luda?
No, so there was a crossroads where we were both invited to an Illuminati thing, and it had to be one or the other of us, and decisions had to be made. So it was both of us, we were equal. One of us had to cut off all their hair and couldn't do the sideburn thing no more with the points. And the next person they said was going to get $200 million because they were going to pay him $10 million a movie to do 20 movies. And that's how the conversation happened. One of those persons turned out to be Ludacris, and the other person turned out to be Cat Williams. Now, one person ended up with a light-skinned, ugly-faced wife that's never done it. Remember I told you that if I say that, it applied to 7 people? Yes. It's part of what they give you, okay? I didn't get it. I'm not mad about it.
How much money they give? 200?
Sir, Fast and Furious is on what number right
10.
now?
10.
This suit.
200 million, I might need to get me one of the more women look the same.
That's what they all end up saying at the end of the day. Kevin told you he wasn't gonna wear no dress until they offered him the dress, and then he put it on. And what did he say after he wore it? I made my own decision. Duh. But you didn't make it before they brought it up, did you? It's okay. It's all right.
Somebody gonna have to tell the truth, and I'm gonna tell it.
If you know, you know. Something's in the water. Something is wild about what's going on. I know that Ludacris responded, but you know what nobody said about Cat Williams? They never said he lied. Everybody's just been responding back with very interesting responses, and it's got you looking at people a little bit differently. Like, damn, I used to like look up to some of y'all. What kind of freaky shit y'all really doing? You feel me? Like, I would say it's none of my business because it in turn isn't my business, but it does change who I choose to give my support and attention to, especially if you're willing to do anything with that man Dussy to get on. You do what you want to do. You do what you want to do. What I'm learning is this, especially when I think about my rap peers over the years that I have met that were hot for a second and then disappeared. And then when you see them in the future, they look like shells of themselves. It makes me ask, what was your experience? What did you go through? What room did you go inside of that I didn't go? And you came out the other way, very different. When you're dealing with people who are willing to do anything, I mean anything, for success in an industry like this, whether it's to be a superstar actress, superstar actor, superstar rapper, superstar whatever, it doesn't matter how much of it is actually true on the other side. The fact that there are people willing to do any and give up any and everything, that should be enough to be watching your back every step of the way. But DIYers, thankfully, oh my goodness, thankfully,
Somebody gonna have to tell the truth, and I'm gonna tell it.
we have chosen to keep the suits. Keep the suits out the booth. You determine what success means for you.
DIY.
DIYers, if you enjoyed this content, make sure that you hit the like button and maybe even consider subscribing. Come on, man. Stop being greedy. Peace.